we all feel like, man, I didn't get this from the people that needed to help me when I needed it. And especially when it comes from your parents, you have this idea like, man, if they couldn't help me, if they couldn't show me the right way to get things done, then who's going to do that? How do I find it? A lot of the times I always think back to this, right? We're all shaped by the experiences that we've had in life, whether it's good, whether it's bad. And mainly those bad moments stick out to us, right? Just like you said, not being able to have your parents' support and have people doubt you all the time. That's one of those things that's like, damn, like, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? Why do people not look at me the way I want them to look at me, right?
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today we got a very special guest. Man, he's involved in a lot of regional Mexican music stuff. He's also an urban artist, representing Vision 55. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, how's it going? Chapulin, born and raised in the northwest side of Chicago.
You're from the north side?
Yeah.
What part?
Like Belmont, Crayon.
How the fuck you end up working all the way over there, bro?
It all started back in 2017, going into 2018. I met Flex. He's the CEO of Vision 55. He hit me up through Instagram, and he wanted me to edit some videos for him, and that's where everything kind of just started.
So you were doing videography before you started, diving straight into the music like that, or what?
Yeah, I was. I was doing a little bit of videography, a little bit of graphic design, taking pictures, and then I kind of just started doing music again. When I got into Vision, I started my own band, and I think that before the last band was about like 2015, 2016 before Vision 55. So I had like a little break before I got into the company.
You're so much more than just an artist, right? You help run that division of the urban division for all those artists. You event coordinate. You do a lot of work with Be Live, obviously. So go ahead and talk about how these roles have defined you as a person, being an artist, being a leader of the division as well as an event coordinator.
I think it's like really built into like the character that I am today, the person I am. It made me a little bit, stronger in knowing like a little bit of everything, like the knowledge that I know. I know how to do graphic design. I know how to shoot music videos. I know how to, take pictures, organize events. We do a little bit of everything, and that's just who I am. Like, people know me as like, oh, Chapulin, like the artist, Chapulin, the event organizer, like, the host, the promoter, and I just kind of built that name for myself.
Over time we start to identify with a lot of these roles, right? So just like you said, you start to identify as the videographer, as the event coordinator, as the artist, and at first that's a hard thing to be able to do, because you start these things and you're like, I'm not really that good at it. I don't feel comfortable telling people like, oh, I'm an artist or I do these events, because you're like, well, who's really giving me I would say the stamp, right? Who's giving me the stamp and saying like, yes, this is what you do? You have to kind of first believe it before anybody else does, right? And just like Drake said in the song, I forgot what song it is, but he says, a boss is a role I've grown into. And that's something that I had to learn over time as well. When we started the podcast, it was really me trying to figure out, okay, how confident am I saying, okay, yeah, this is what I do. Prior to Vision 55, who would you say Chapulin was?
I think, I was just a young kid who's, trying to find himself. I had dropped out of high school. I kind of didn't want to know what I wanted to do with life. I kind of was just like in between. Should I, make music? Should I record? Should I do design? It was something that like, it was just hard for me because I like doing everything. Like, I enjoy doing music. I enjoy making flyers for people. I enjoy, shooting music videos. And it came to a point where I was just like, why not do everything? Like, a little bit of everything, have, that knowledge in everything that I know and I do, you know. So it just before Vision 55, I would say I was just, just still trying to figure out myself. Um, when I came into Vision 55, I kind of just started growing my name as a designer. Um, and I think a lot of people know me more as a designer and a promoter than an artist or somebody who shoots music videos, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, oh, like Chapulin, like, how's it going with the music? Or Chapulin, hey, like, do me a flyer, you know. So it's like, it's always something different depending who I'm, speaking to, you know.
For you, how do you feel like that's really impacted you, right? Because now these people are asking you, like, how are you doing? Um, More so in the sense that they're about to follow up with, damn, do this for me, right? And that's the kind of, yes, it's your job, but at the same time, it seems like you're most passionate about the music, right?
I love music. Like, music, completes the person I am today, you know. And I've been through, I would say, a lot of things in life as a young kid growing up. And I felt like the music was like my therapy. It was always there for me, you know. So whenever I get a chance, I go to the studio, record. Whenever I get a chance, I'll sit down and write music. Whatever has to do with music, like whatever chance I see like that opens up for me to make music, I'll do it. Sometimes like I think like, oh yeah, like I should just stick to music. Just make music full time. But like when I got into Vision, it's graphic design and organizing events was something that I started doing at first. So it's something that I can't let go of.
What's one of those key moments that you feel like shaped you growing up? Because, like you said, you've been through a lot, prior to being an artist. I guess you said, right, you've been an artist since you were 10 years old. But during that period, obviously, there were traumatic moments, happy moments, shit that's happened to you that's really shaped the person you are.
A key moment in life was my high school phase. I was growing up, just a Chicago kid being in the street, doing bad stuff.
Doing hood rat shit with your friends.
I feel like we all go through that phase where you're just doing bad stuff and, getting home late, not listening to your parents, but I had my moments with my parents and, it kind of just shaped me into who I am today, Um, and I feel like it's made me stronger today, being able to experience so much things at like a young age.
What's one moment that specifically comes to mind, right? You don't got to give us details and incriminate yourself, but just, talk about, an experience that's kind of like right there that's hitting your mind.
The divorce of my parents, like I felt like that, you know, made me stronger, because I didn't have both my parents like growing up. It was always like problems with them, and but it made me who I am today. Um, I was able to like learn things myself. I felt like everything I did, I learned myself.
What do you mean by like you learned it by yourself, right? Because there's a lot of things. I guess when you're young, right, you always think like, oh, I'm doing these things by myself. I'm truly learning the ways to life through experiences, right? Because that's how you learn. A lot of people always say that you're never going to understand until you experience it yourself, right? So for you to say like, oh, I was learning on my own and teaching myself these things, right? Like what exactly?
At some point in my life, like growing up, there wasn't really like that much support from my parents. So I felt like if I wanted to do something, I had to go and, get it myself. I had to, like, if I wanted to learn how to, I don't know, let's say, do some handiwork or, like build a shelf, I'll tell my dad. My dad wouldn't do it, like, So it was just everything I had to learn, like I had to go and learn and it's like when even with music or graphic design, like I would tell my dad like, oh yeah, like can you put me in this course, and he would just be like, nah, like and I would just kind of go like on YouTube and learn it myself, like everything. Like I never had my parents like there to like support me.
But I mean, that's good that you're a go-getter, right? That you're setting that up for yourself and not waiting on anybody. Because for me, I run into the same things where my parents never really taught me how to do that shit, right? My dad's literally a carpenter, bro. And he's the type of person who gets really stressed if you're in his way and he's trying to get something done. So instead of, taking the time to teach me and be patient about it, his ass is like, go away. Let me do it. I got it. I'll do it. Which is cool, right? Because me being lazy, I'm like, all right, fuck it. You do it. I'll act like I did it, right? When my mom asked me, like, did you help him? Yeah, I helped him. I sat there and did nothing. But that's a whole separate thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, I feel like those experiences are universal, right? That we all feel like, man, I didn't get this from the people that needed to help me when I needed it. And especially when it comes from your parents, you have this idea like, man, if they couldn't help me, if they couldn't show me the right way to get things done, then who's going to do that? How do I find it? And just like I said, props to you because you were able to set out on that path and do it yourself, right? A lot of the times I always think back to this, right? We're all shaped by the experiences that we've had in life, whether it's good, whether it's bad. And mainly those bad moments stick out to us, right? Just like you said, not being able to have your parents' support and have people doubt you all the time. That's one of those things that's like, damn, like, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? Why do people not look at me the way I want them to look at me, right? Eminem, Big Sean, J. Cole, they're all examples of that, right? Where they say that nobody was believing in me until I set out on a path to do it myself. Eminem went to go find Dr. Dre. Big Sean went to go find who the fuck signed him, Kanye West. J. Cole was handing out CDs to Jay-Z outside of Rockefeller, right? And J. Cole specifically says in a song, No Role Models, he says, but then I thought back to a better me. Before I was a B-list celebrity, before I started calling bitches so heavily, back when you could get a platinum plaque without a melody, you wasn't sweating me. And those lyrics, right? You think of, man, I think back to the times where nobody gave a fuck. Nobody was like, oh yeah, you're the shit. I give a fuck about you. Just kind of like you're describing. People only started giving a fuck when you're doing well with Vision 55, when you're designing posters, when you're doing video work, when you're an artist. Before I was a B-list celebrity, before my name was known. I'm not A-list because I'm not fucking famous, but I'm B-list because I'm well known. Before you could get this plaque without a melody before I started doing the work. So I think about that personally as well, right? Because before I started doing the podcast, nobody's hitting me up to have a regular ass conversation. That's all we do on here. We have regular ass conversations with real people. The only difference is they're artists, right? These artists are spotlighting something different about them. It's not, okay, I'm famous, so these experiences you can't have. But it's, yes, I'm a B-list celebrity, I'm an A-list celebrity, but there's still real shit going on in my life. So with this being said, man, in what ways has your self-perception been affected by the way that people view you?
At first, when I first started doing all this, um, people, I mean, didn't support me. Not even from the area where I'm from. People wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, Chapulin's doing his thing and everything. It was until I finally grew a name for myself, and people really started seeing what I was doing and actually noticing what I was doing, and they would be like, oh yeah, that's Chapulin. I went to school with him. And it was always people that I didn't really associate much with. There was people that supported me from the beginning, but it was always, I would say, it was more strangers, people I didn't know, people from far. It was never close friends, close family, and I feel like sometimes you want that support from those people because those are the people that matter the most to you. So now that they actually see what I'm doing, it's oh yeah, that's my cousin, or that's my boy. We were boys since we were little, and it's just kind of I've dealt with that, I've learned how to deal with that.
I felt that one, bro, because there was a period of time where I was going through that, and I felt so hard. Like, why do the people that are supposed to care about what I'm doing not care, but people I don't even know are supporting the most, right? And people say that a lot of the times, where it's always the people far away from you that will be your biggest fans, and the people closest to you won't even care. And I don't know, man. It's just like one of those things. Like, I shouldn't care, because at the end of the day, I am getting that support from other people. But just like you said, I want the people closest to me to do it, right? For you, why do you feel like that was so important?
Like the person I am, I feel like I show like a lot of love to people, you know, and sometimes you want that love from the people that you know care about the most. You know, I've always wanted like my dad to tell me, yeah, like you know, I'm proud of you. Like I see what you're doing. You know, like keep going. You know, and I didn't have that. You know, like my dad, he cared about us and he loved us. I know he did. You know, he does. You know, but he just wasn't really like an emotional person. Like somebody that would tell you like, yeah, like I'm proud of you. Like he wouldn't sit down with us and tell us like, or like, you know, do your homework type stuff, you know, like, and sometimes I feel like as a kid you need that. You need like that love and affection, like, you know, and I feel like, you know, not having that from the people that matter the most, you know, sometimes it gets to you, you know, but like the support was there, you know, people were supporting me, strangers were supporting me, you know, people would come up to me and be like, hey, like you're Chapulin, right? I'm like, yeah, like I see what you're doing, but like keep it up, you know, and it's just like when a stranger supports you, it's like, you know what, like why am I like you said, like why am I gonna feel down, you know, like the support is there, you know, like I'm gonna keep on going just so, you know, I can keep on doing what I'm doing, you know.
And sometimes you even need that stranger support, right? More than you need, the people closest to you. When the people closest to you say, good job, I fuck with what you're doing, yeah, it feels good, but at the same time, you don't believe it because you have that imposter syndrome. Whereas if a stranger comes up to you and tells you, like, damn, your shit's raw, you're like, damn, like, you don't even fucking know me, bro, and you still took the time out of your day to check out my shit, and even, come up to me and say, hey, your shit is dope. I want to touch back on that, right? Just like you said with your dad. Damn, he's got that Mexican in him, bro. Cause you know
Yeah,
how the Mexicans be. They don't want to give you any props or anything.
he's real old school. My dad's real old school, like he's a hard-headed person, like stubborn, you know, like any Mexican dad, you know.
He wouldn't hug you, bro.
He would hug me, but he would laugh, like, you know, he'll be like, you know, like side hug type, you know.
Yeah. Especially when you're, I don't want to say deprived, right? Because that's sounds a little extreme, but when it almost feels like you're deprived of that love from a parent, it's like, damn, like, how can I expect other people to love me if you can't even show me the love that I'm supposed to get from you automatically? You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, I always been the person that always show love to people. So like, you know, if I care about you, you know, I at least expect the love back, you know, like um but my dad, he just kind of been that person where like he would like, you know, be like, hey, you know, like I feel like my dad, you know, it's been a couple times where he has told me like I love you, you know, like it's really rare like when my dad tells me that, or like, you know, um but I feel like over the years my dad has like tried to like improve in that, like improve like in working on his emotions. You know, he got like, you know, my dad's 56, 50, he's 56, and you know, he's getting older, so like I feel like he tries to see, like he knows the generation is different. You know, he knows he's not in Mexico. He knows he's not in the, you know, in the 80s, you know, like, so I feel like he like tries to adjust to his kids.
So where do you get this emotional side to you, though, man? Because a lot of your music is emotional, right?
Just experiences I've been through, like, you know, love, like stuff like that, you know. It all comes from something. I feel like each one of my songs that I make like means something, or it's something that happened to me, you know, and I just kind of like add certain stuff to the song that actually happened to me, and you know, just kind of base it off that.
Your song that's dropping today, bro. I talk about it. What's the concept? Why did you create it? Who hurt you, bro?
That song that's coming out today is called Aún Te Extraño. um that wasn't really about anybody. It was more about how I was feeling at the moment. I was kind of feeling like alone and angry at the time, so I just kind of wanted to do something that like was just like sad, was just like gonna get somebody in their feels, you know. And it just the song is basically about, you know, like a girl that hurt a guy, and you know, she left him and he still misses her, you know. So it just kind of like, I guess it was in the moment where I was feeling like angry and kind of alone, and just kind of just it all like worked out and came out, you know.
He says, "Sad boys for real." Let's take it back to your relationship, right, with your dad. And now we're gonna hit, something that's really deep to you, your relationship with Flex. I feel like they might coincide, they might not, right? Because that's why I have this question. Do you feel like your relationship with Flex was giving you what you were missing with your dad, right? Because you looked up to Flex a lot. The way that he was able to give you opportunities, he was one of the first people to believe in what you were doing and believed in it fully.
I think yeah. Uh, Flex to me was somebody, I think, like key in my life. Somebody that was important and still is important to me. Um, because I saw Flex, you know, like a father, you know, like and it was with Flex, it was always tough love, you know, like hey, like get on your shit, you know, like. But he always believed in me. He always believed in me. He always believed in the vision that we had. He believed in my project, you know, and I'm really thankful for that, you know. He opened a lot of doors for me, a lot of opportunities, and if it wasn't for Flex, I don't know what I would be doing, honestly.
How do you feel like you've continued to carry his legacy on and, honor him? I know you guys just did the 5 year anniversary show for Vision 55, but aside from business, right? Aside from continuing Vision 55 and making sure that his legacy lives on in that way, for you personally, how have you carried it?
Just kind of doing the things that he, you know, loved to do, you know, like, you know, I think, you know, Flex loved to party, so, you know, we always partying. But besides that, like, you know, like catchphrases that he used to say, or, you know, things he would just say to motivate us and everything. I mean, it wasn't just only business or anything like that, you know, like he would always be like, oh, you know, wake up early, you know, don't waste your day, and just kind of, you know, just keep going, and you know, always having him right there with me, you know, even if he's not, you know, here physically. But you know, I always know that, you know, he's here with me.
And you even made a song dedicated to him, Hasta el Cielo.
That song is actually a cover from Rails B. So like the B was from Rails B. I put it in like the description and everything, you know, and I just like the beat, so it's kind of like the same flow from the original song. It was just my own lyrics, and I kind of like switched it up around. So you know, I wrote that maybe like, I would say like a month after he passed away, um, and it was just, you know, a song that means a lot to me, you know. And whenever I get the chance, you know, I put it on and, you know, just kind of listen to it.
In the song, you're talking about how he's always going to be with you, and, he's going to be by your side, and you're going to make sure that you complete the dream that you guys always talked about. So, what even was that dream, bro? For the people that obviously don't know whoever knows you probably knows who Flex it was. But for the people who start following you in the future, right? Let them know.
We always talked about the music, like the music we like our artists, you know, would make, and like it was always his dream to, you know, have this company Vision 55 on top, you know, sold out shows, you know, being able to have, you know, autograph meetings, and you know, he wanted that for everybody in the company, you know, like anybody who works in Vision or is with Vision, you know, he believed in them. He saw something in them, and you know, that's just kind of the dream that we had, was to, you know, make it out of Chicago, and make this global.
I know how important Flex was to obviously all of you. We already had that discussion with film and how it really impacted him, but as well as you. And losing people always puts things into perspective. Whenever you lose somebody close to you, it's like, damn, what am I really doing with my life? How can I? It almost makes you feel like, damn, all the shit I've been doing wrong. How can I continue to do those things in my life and not do things that will honor this person, right? Things that this person would be proud of me doing. And there's a song that came out recently by Russ. It's called Last Night. And even though the song is more so about a relationship, every time I hear it, I feel like it can almost be about a broken relationship, or it can be about somebody you lost that you weren't able to say goodbye to. He says, I didn't know that last night was our last night together, did you? I didn't know today was the day I was going to say goodbye to you. Do you know that I love you? Know that I want you to stay. I didn't know today was the day I was going to say goodbye to you. And it's really like, man, why couldn't you have told me that this was going to be the last moment I had with you? That there was so much more that I wanted to say. There's so much more that I wanted to do. And he goes on to even talk about, like, how do I go on? What am I supposed to do now that you're not here? And that's the reason I've really picked up on this song, and it's resonated more with the fact that you're losing somebody to probably death than it is, losing somebody because they walked out of your life. Because when you lose somebody to death, it's like I didn't even get the chance to say like what I needed to.
I've lost people, but I feel like when I lost Flex, it was just like, like I had no words, you know. Um, he was somebody that, like I said earlier, impacted me so much. And I always sit down and think like, man, he had these dreams, like he had this vision. Like, how can I just stop and not do it? I always think about it like, like Vision is a company that's been around for 5 years, and the amount of work and effort that we all have put into the company. Like, how can we just stop? Like, we have to keep on going. We have to do this for him because it's something that he always wanted. You know, and yeah, like he's not here with us no more, and it hurts me. Like it hurts me. Like, man, how can I do this but without him? Like how like he needs to be here. Like like he needed to see this happen. And I just kind of put it in the back of my head, like, you know what, like I'm gonna do this for him. Like we're gonna do this. We're gonna make this happen, and we're gonna make it happen for him because this is what he wanted. And I know he would be mad if we stopped, doing what we're doing today. And it's just kind of like that motivation he would always tell us, like, come on, let's get to it, let's do this. And that's just kind of the person he was, always motivating people. I know he wants me to keep on going, and so everything I do, is for him.
Do you guys feel, well, do you personally feel like what you guys have done so far has lived up to what he would have wanted?
There's still so much to be done.
Mm.
Like you just gotta be patient for, like we have the talent, we have the resources, we have the support from the city of Chicago, and I just feel like it has to happen, like it's going to happen. Nothing happens overnight. You just got to keep on putting that work and work until somebody turns their head, and somewhere, somebody somewhere, like, sees the potential here. And I feel like we got it, man.
When all that happened, it almost felt like a reset. It almost felt like everything went backwards, right? It almost felt like you guys had to start from the beginning, even though you had everything in place, everything that he left you guys. It's still like, okay, now we're without our leader. Who's gonna take up the mantle and lead us to the promised land, the so-called promised land, right? So for you, what do you feel like's missing now aside from obviously flex?
You know, you gotta trust the process. You know, everybody has their time. Everybody has their moment. And I feel like one day Vision 55 as a company as a whole will have its moment, you know? And it's just, you know, like I said, consistency and you know, keep working hard and our moment will come, you know? And people will see that, like, people will see, like, the work we're putting in and, you know, like, we have talented groups, talented artists. So, you know, hopefully one day our moment will come.
If you could have one last conversation with him, what would you tell him?
We're going to keep, you know, working for you and you know, I'm always gonna have, you know, mad respect and mad love for him, you know. So but I feel like, you know, it's something you don't really think about, like what to say to that person, you know, like you just, you know, you don't think about that. Like I wouldn't think about like what, like if I had one last conversation with him, you know.
Even aside from, you losing somebody who was so close to you, you went through a whole traumatic experience yourself, right? I don't know, is that the scar from when you got
Uh,
shot?
nah, it's right here on the hand.
Go ahead and talk about that experience, bro. How has it really affected your mental health, and where are you now?
It's something like scary, you know, like you think about it, like you don't know when your last day is gonna be on this earth, you know, like you know, I thought about it more for like my family, you know, like the pain they would have to go through, you know, if something major would have happened, you know. And you know, I'm thankful for God, you know, like I'm thankful to God, you know, for still being here and, you know, it's been, you know, mentally it's been kind of hard, you know. I have my moments where like if I hear like a loud sound, I kind of, you know, you like get startled, you know. But I always try to, you know, think positive and keep going. You know, I kind of just like, kind of try to just put that to the side, you know, like kind of not, you know, think about that. I'm just thankful that God gave me another opportunity. You know, it was like a second chance. It was like, you know, like He gave me, you know, more reason to live, you know.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel like you took away from the experience?
It made me realize that I had to like value life more, you know, because I feel like we all are like, we all have a purpose. You know, we all have a purpose in life on earth. And I feel like for that, you know, to happen to me, it was like, you know, God woke me up for something, you know, like it happened for a reason, you know, it didn't just happen for no reason, you know, like
So you could rap about it now, bro. So you don't gotta cap in your raps, bro.
I actually am working on a track about that. It doesn't really talk much about me being shot, but just more about like how God gave me a second chance and how I'm still blessed to be here, you know, and kind of just like a motivational song, you know. So you guys could wait on that real soon.
Hey, he said, let me plug it real quick. But man, I really appreciate you coming on here, sharing your story and being so open with us. Obviously, these are things that have happened to you throughout life that are going to shape you and going to change you every single day. And whether the experience is something that you process right now, whether it's something you processed 2 months ago, or whether you'll process it in a couple years, it's still important to talk about and it's still important to get out there. So, man, I really appreciate you for just sharing everything that you could today.
No, thank you for having me here, you know. I appreciate the opportunity.
There you go. Well, thank you guys. Make sure you go ahead and check out his new single that drops tonight. What's it called?
Aún te extraño. It's available on iTunes, Spotify, all the platforms.
That's going to be all, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure you go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. And, man, run this shit up. Go ahead. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.